Charlie and Crank were saying earlier, because if you look at that, that bigger picture, everything is a formula. The Cabal has a formula. And so no matter where you are in the world, you're just part of that system because a system is literally formulas, right? That's how you scale. So if I talk about like China for a quick instance, what happened during the Cultural Revolution? The language system, not the spoken, but the written version, it changed from traditional Chinese into simplified Chinese. And I know that might not make sense for everybody on the call, but essentially what happened is like ancient Chinese writing is more pictograph. It's almost like hieroglyphics in Egypt, but with a lot more strokes to it. And so over time it has morphed. It's kind of like, like from like more dancey, curved writing, it became more block style. But when you look at like, when you're studying Chinese, you study in groups because you're learning like, it would be the equivalent of prefixes and suffixes, right? So it's like all these little like bits and pieces of that Chinese word can mean something different. And so if you start to study the overall framework of the language, everything ties back to something else. And you can usually, well, you can't just sit there and figure it out unless you know what all the symbols mean. But the point is, the original language is based on symbols that all have meaning. So when the communists came in and they basically took over China, one of the first things they did was that big cultural revolution, right? People probably remember when they were studying back in high school, a lot of people died, like, the doctors, the lawyers, the business people, they were all either slaughtered or they were, sent to prison, or they were sent to basically, banished to Mongolia, etc. Because what they were doing is they were turning the system upside down. And so in the aftermath, you had something called the simplified Chinese language, which if anybody's ever studied Chinese before, you'll see it's like total night and day. You actually have to go back and learn it as if it were a secondary language. You can't sit there and guess. And I forgot what the number was, but I'm not going to throw out a number because I'm going to get it completely wrong. But I remember when I was studying it, my teacher said that there were only a handful of words in the simplified Chinese language because they had simplified it too much. It's almost like speaking in English with abbreviations only. At some point you run out because you can't abbreviate every single word, right? They start to look the same. And so, just the sheer number of Chinese words in simplified is significantly less than the traditional version of it. So they have a hard time, first of all, communicating. Second of all, they can't talk to one another unless you actually learn the secondary system.
Just for people watching, the English alphabet has 26 letters. The Chinese traditional alphabet is somewhere around 7,000, I believe, Emily.
Well, characters, I think it's over 10,000. I think it's over 10,000. You have like all the traditional ancient stuff behind it. And you need to know several thousand to be considered proficient.
No wonder you talk so fast.
I'm only conversational. I'm not even fluent in Chinese.
It's incredible though. I love China.
You didn't even understand their English.
Exactly.
So the reason why I bring that up is because I remember like back in what year did Common Math come out? It was like maybe 2012 or something like that. I was living overseas in Singapore, and I saw on Facebook all this hubbub about Common Math, and I'm like, what the crap is that? And so I started learning about it, and all I could see from the international news section was when they're talking about how parents could no longer help their kids with the math problems because they had simplified the math equation so much where it was like dots instead of formulas. And I'm like, oh crap, well that's the communists all over again. So the reason I'm saying it is because I want people to understand, guys, it's a formula. Everything by the Cabal is a formula. And the faster you look from the top down, you'll just recognize it sooner.